Everyone, Jim T. Graham with RC Groups and Mike Vassar with Robart / Zap. What's happening, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Jim? Sounds like today we're going to be doing answering some questions here, huh?
So on YouTube and on the forums, people have been asking questions, and Mike said, "What should we do with these questions?" And I took as many as I could find. I'm sure these aren't all of them, but maybe it's most of them, and put them in an email. And we're both looking at it, and we're going to answer your questions over the topics we've discussed over the last few years, actually.
So, first question. Okay, I'm going to try to do this kind of back and forth a little bit. Oh, sorry. We'll do it this way. Hi, Sol. If somebody's using High Sol and they're wondering if Canopy glue would be a replacement. No, High Sol is a two-part epoxy, and for a our two-part epoxy is the 30-minute. Right here, it's our 30-minute, 15-minute, and 5-minute Z-epoxy two-part. Here, this is what is our quote unquote equivalent. Okay.
So the question was, I've been using Hysol on my Extreme Flight planes, and the next question is, would Canopy glue be good for these applications? And your answer is
If you want to stay with a two-part, you go to our epoxy.
okay.
Okay. Uh, and then if you want to some of the other glues, then you could go ahead and use any of those on that plane. We do offer the full variety with the Zappa Gap, the Zap CAs. If you want to go with a CA, super glue, so on and so forth, go to the Zappa Gap and whatnot. But if you want to stay with the two parts, we offer it in the 5 minute, 15, and 30. So you get a little bit more variety. All right.
And thank you to Andy for that question. We're moving on to a video we did recently, Hinge How To, and it generated a lot of questions. And
Yes.
so, one
So
question that came off the RC Groups, you want me to read it?
yeah, just go ahead and do that, and I will hit my button and start to zoom in on the sample that we did. Go ahead.
This is from Bob. He says, "How do you close the gap between the surfaces? Do you add wood? Do you recess the hinge buckle so that hinge line is at the separation of the surfaces? Then how do you keep the glue from fouling the hinge? How about cutting a channel for the point and the knuckle to fit, which leaves a space for sloppy glue and allows for gapless hinging?" And we're going to
Okay.
answer all those questions right now.
So yeah, if I'm reading the question right, we're talking about this gap right here, correct? So this question as well as the next one is um, how what you want to do is just cut a little notch right here, and you would do that on both sides or one side, depending on how tight it is, and then also so close you might not see it. Yeah, so you see how on the surface side I've got it rounded. That allows for the roll of the control surface. Okay, and then when you notch that out, that will allow this hinge to get closer, and then so that the actual hinge portion down in here has room to operate. All right. Going on to how do you keep glue out of your hinge, the actual hinge itself. Da, 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 da. Rails up. Put a little bit of our rail zip on that hinge itself, right down in there, and that essentially works as a release agent, and the glue will not stick in there, and you'll be able to completely operate uh, the hinge after the glue has cured. Right?
And the one thing I would add is, if you're flying a 3D plane, you definitely need a lot of throw. So there might be a bigger gap to get all the throw there. But if you're flying a pattern plane, your throw is going to be a lot less. And so you could get away with a tighter gap.
Yep. So the next question it's a long one. I don't know if we really couldn't read the whole thing, but essentially, it's the question is about foam warbirds. So with the foam warbirds, do the same thing. There, you don't have to do anything different when we talk about hinging foam here, because Canopy glue is foam safe. It's a
Which was the
water-based glue.
question? Yep.
Yeah, is asking about the. I had a rudder breakaway from a foam hinge and the vertical stab, and so he's wondering about rehinging it. And so what you want to do is you can continue to do the same thing. All of this is foam safe. Feel free to use the this Canopy glue Formula 56 on there, and you'll be just fine hinging your foam airplane. On the CA for the CA hinges. Oh, by the way, for the rail zip in there, a little shout out to Dubro. Thank you, Dubro. They were the ones that really were pointing out the rail zip for their release agent to block the glue from getting into the hinge joint.
Nice.
For CA hinges on foam, you do have to be careful because most CAs are not foam safe. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to use a foam safe glue, and most of your foam safe glues are a medium viscosity. So I'm not sure if you'll get the full wicking action that you might be looking for if you're using a quote unquote CA hinge. Okay.
Right. And you did say Canopy glue is foam safe?
It is foam safe. That is correct.
We have one more Canopy Canopy glue question. Can Canopy glue be used on plastic model parts like windscreens and canopies? I mean, of course, that's what it's called, but that was a question.
Yes. So if we go back to an older video, you can see we did a video on why Canopy glue is called Canopy glue. So if you've ever noticed when your CA glues set, you'll see a poof of like a wisp of almost looks like smoke that comes out of it.
So that stuff gets in your eyes too, so watch out.
Yeah, that's the fuming, and that if you put that onto your canopies or onto a headlight or something like that, and you get that on the inside, you might not be able to get in to wipe it off. And so that's why we don't recommend you use a CA glue on those types of surfaces, and you actually use the Canopy glue. And what that will do is will not have that fuming. Dries clear, it's flexible, and then it adheres to plastics also.
Okay, I'm going to switch topics. I actually had the topic wrong on this question. The question was about Polyzap. Can it be used on windscreens and canopies?
It can. However, I would recommend Canopy glue because of the fuming, like we just talked about. Circling back around.
And now we're shifting gears once again. We are actually moving off of planes onto guitar finishes. Can your 30-minute epoxy be used as a finish over acrylic paint as a thin layer? And that's from P. Sutton.
You can, okay. However, my only concern is if that paint is peeling, the pores on the wood are already filled with the paint. So if the paint is peeling, the epoxy is going to sit on top of the paint. Excuse me, I apologize. The epoxy is going to sit on top of the paint, and then if the paint peels, the epoxy is going to peel also.
Got it.
That's my 2 cents. But that really gives it pushes home another point, is that Zap glue goes beyond just hobby. We're in so many different industries. So if you're working around the house or over at your job or just about anything, maybe this isn't your only hobby. We've got all sorts of glues that can be able to help you out with whatever you're doing.
Yep. You have a slew of just about any and everything that you might want to use. And I tell you, one of my favorites is your brush on CA, just because you can control it. It's not going to run down your hand, and you can get it where you want it.
Yep, it's got the little nail polish brush in there, right there. We offer it in 2 different sizes now. It's
Ah,
not just a quarter ounce; it's a quarter ounce and a half ounce. We offer them both.
great.
So,
Well, we want to thank everyone for your questions. I'm going to create a feature article on RC groups. And if you have more questions, be sure and put those there. And we will round them up and answer those at a future date.
or if you're out there working and you want to get to us directly, give me a call or my business partner Dan. Either one of us, 630 584 7616. 630-584-7616. Extension 2 will go to Robart, but you'll go to Dan and myself, and we'll get you taken care of.
You can find all that info at robart.com and talk to the fine folks. All right, Mike, man, I once again appreciate your time, especially to answer all these questions from all these folks. And thanks, everyone, for asking those questions.
Thank you. Have a great day, Jim.
And y'all have a great day. We're